Okay guys, so I want to talk to you a little bit about Wall Street versus Main Street part 2, and let's get in a little bit of foundational understanding from my perspective. Okay, as many of you guys that watch my channel know, I grew up here in SoCal. So when I was going to high school and graduated high school and said I'm going to go into the Air Force, serve my country, and as a way to start my life and start my own family and everything like that, I felt that was important to have a good foundation. And I kind of followed in the footsteps of my dad. Although he's Marine Corps, he was happy that I joined Air Force and I was going to be a medic, because obviously medic is a little more acceptable. My dad was a police officer all of his life, so that's about the main thing you do when you get out of the Marines. Well, he's also construction, but anyway, that's another story. So when I graduated, I go away for 6 years, traveling around with the Air Force, serving my country. I was active duty, and I came back, and I grew up, like I said, I grew up here in the San Gabriel Valley, and it's a reason why I wanted to come by here and show you this. I grew up here in San Gabriel Valley, and I not only grew up here, but this is where my perspective of the world kind of began. And when I first got a bike, I came here to this bike shop, Pasadena Cyclery, not in high school, but after high school. And my perspective was buy local, buy something from people you could see, people you could talk to, people that could teach you about that sport. Okay, when I was young, my grandfather used to take us fishing. We'd go to a little pro store and buy the stuff there. Yes, it cost more than if we would have bought it at there was no Walmarts back then, but if we would have bought it at a bigger store, like a big sporting goods stores, obviously the fishing stores cost more. And we didn't care. We were just like, hey, we're supporting a small business, we're supporting Main Street, and that's a good thing. The owners of the store, the family that owns it, they're making themselves a part of that community and wanting to be the purveyors of whatever, sporting goods or bicycle or whatever they're doing, and also be the experts on it and talk to you about it. So fast forward, I get back from the Air Force, and I notice that large sections of my community and the surrounding communities are all of a sudden, the prices of houses started to go up. Everything was purchased by Chinese. And I'm not trying to put down that. It's going to get loud here. Hold on. Lots of houses, the neighborhoods were changing. Arcadia and San Marino were the two cities that I saw this the most, and the two surrounding cities of here, Pasadena. And it was amazing how quickly that escalated, where instead of families buying houses that were doing it through traditional ways of getting loans, saving up for a down payment, finding a way to get a house, that from what I understand from the realtors, that the Asian community, the Chinese, would come and buy cash and they would offer more than the asking price with cash. And that was, I mean, that was just unheard of growing up. My family, my father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, when they bought homes, they had a mortgage. They didn't buy cash. So I don't understand how they were able to do that. But now that the world has become more globalized, I learned how that was done. That manufacturing done overseas was done at the expense of the government supposedly supporting the people, but we know they really don't. And so there's two-class system. There's the government basically supports big business. That big business comes in here with a lot of money and a lot of power, and therefore their families and their friends that are executives with those businesses are able to come here and buy cash. So I mean, that's a simplification, but let's get back to bicycles. So Wall Street versus Main Street with bicycles. I quickly learned, hey, these bikes are made in US, these bikes are not. These parts are made in US, these parts are not. And if I get this Thompson seat post, or if I get these Chris King hubs, that they're made here. And why not? Yes, they cost more and you're paying more, but it's manufactured by people that live and work here and are trying to raise their family here and are part of the building of America. And one of the big companies that I first bought a custom bike from was Foes, which is right here in Pasadena. And I became friends with Brent Foes and Chris and the guys that are still there making Foes bikes. And I thought that was kind of cool that I could go into the place where they're manufactured. But not only that, that he held out. He could have had his design, and he was approached to have his design and have his bikes labeled Foes but be made in China. But he said, no, I don't want a carbon frame. I'm just going to stick to making my aluminum frames, and I'll weld them up myself and hydrofoam them myself and do all those things that are very labor intensive and cost a lot more here, especially because you're doing it in small production than if you did it mass production over there. And he didn't care. He didn't need to be this mass produced, huge scaled sales force type of company. That's not what he was doing it for. He likes bikes and he likes manufacturing stuff himself. So I think it goes along with where is your value set with the way you want to purchase and the way you want to support things. Yes, maybe you think of it less that it's all about just getting a good bargain and getting a good deal, and I get that. It's nice to get a good bargain. It's nice to feel like, okay, I got this really high-end $10,000 bike for $5,000 because it's half price now, and it's got all the top-end components. Everything was, manufactured by a big factory offshore, and that doesn't matter to you. You want that sweet rig and you're cool with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I completely don't think there's anything wrong with that way of thinking and the way you want to do things. If that's what you do, that's what I'm saying. You have freedom of choice is what you want. Just like that song. So freedom of choice is what you get, but I also have freedom of choice, and I think my choices, and I'm thinking I'm seeing this change in the government where I don't want our government getting more and more screwed up with the poor choices I feel like government has made in the past. I think we're still we're definitely feeling that a lot. And I don't want to get too political, but it's evident that we have a huge homeless problem, we have a huge drug problem, we have a huge poverty problem, and years and years of these programs meant to correct that have been failing. Matter of fact, I think our mayor of Los Angeles is being investigated for $2 billion that just unaccounted for when it came to money that they got for the homeless. $2 billion with a B is just missing. So I don't understand that. I don't understand why people are thinking that we shouldn't have laws, immigration laws, and we shouldn't be deporting people that are here illegally. I think they need to be deported, or they need to be amnestied and get all their paperwork so they're accounted for. But something, I don't think they could just be ignored as it's been done in the past. And it's quite apparent that some of our huge problems with crime and with other things are because of immigrants. They literally just arrested an illegal immigrant that molested and killed like a 14-year-old boy that was here up in Northern California. And he'd been living here and he'd been working as a soccer coach, but come to find out he was here illegal. So I don't see that as something that we should ignore and continue to ignore. And I think there needs to be some accountability for a stricter immigration policy, and we need to, and it just needs to change. So I'm going to end it at that. I don't want to get too political. I'm going to go back into Wall Street versus Main Street with my bike choices and the small world I live in when it comes to a consumer of bicycle industry products, and where I'm going to go with my purchasing power in the future. And I'll talk to you later.